Pretty sure that's spare. Right. Those were for those. This is the other one. Basically, you don't need a lot, but it needs to go all the way around. Those creases to be nice and tight. Tight strip along the top just to glue it all. Yeah, actually, let's do the Lord next. I've got these three here. Again, I'm pretty sure I could be doing this with PVA, but I'm lazy and want to get on. So, super glue it is. junk. And that's why we have spares. Yeah, that one, as it wrapped around, it did that. So it's no good. It needs to be flush. You know, that'll be somebody punishing me because I'm not using PVA, as I said. Five. One more, and then we can finish the Lord. While we're on a roll, let's just keep going. And I said in the start of this series, there's not going to be a lot of me talking and commentating. You get the whole process, warts and all. Because some of modelling is just tedious, repetitive tasks. Especially when you're working on regiments of things, or big units, or multiple units at the same time. There will be lots and lots of repetition. And you just have to keep your eye on the end goal. Or reward yourself after doing some of the more repetitive stuff with an individual piece. It's like painting. If you've got an entire regiment of guys to paint, then crank your way through them, and there's a reward at the end. Do their commander or standard bearer or something with a bit more interest. It's not such a big problem, I think, with the painting on these guys, because they aren't all the same, and there's not actually that many of them. I mean, I've done Goblin and Skaven armies before. Not a Goblin and Skaven army, an army of Goblins and an army of Skaven. And the word repetitive just doesn't cover it with those. You'll have hundreds of the same model, or virtually the same model, to be painted in exactly the same way. Plus, once we get this bit done, the rest will go a lot quicker. Yeah, fairly soon we'll get on to the painting side of things. And the basing, transfers, decals, whatever you want to call them. And I'm still not sure on what heraldry I'm going with these guys. My current thinking is red armor, because it used to be my go-to colour, and I can't actually remember the last time I painted anything entirely in red. And these guys are going to have a sort of blue-grey skin, and I thought the red would contrast quite nicely. Nice bright red armour. So I could just go with, a plain red background. And then come up with some sort of heraldic icon to go over the top. And carrying on the Japanese theme with these banners, part of me is thinking of using a yin-yang symbol for the field of the heraldry. So doing their shields essentially as yin and yang, and then something over the top, which might be something traditionally heraldic. Obviously I can't do a lot of the animals because there are no dragons and lions and things in this world, but I could do either a flower or a tower, castle, something like that. There's a bit of excess glue there. Two more, I think. Yeah, two more for these, and then there's three more for the vertical pieces on there. That'll be all of them made. So we've got a while before we do the transfer, so if you've got any suggestions, let me know. I'm not even bothered about how difficult it would be to paint, because I'm probably going to print them on transfer paper. And the only problem with doing that is you can't print white, and if I'm going with a red colour scheme, it's going to be quite dark, and I don't think black is going to stay up. yellow might, but if I can find the shade of red that I'm going to use, I can print the red as well, and then I can just do a white background on the shield, completely white, and then stick the transfer over the top, which the white will shine through, and then just paint around the edge to hide what's decal and what's not. And then just my 3 vertical pieces, and that will be all of them. I still have a spare for some reason. I must have miscounted. But yeah, as I say, if anyone's got any suggestions on heraldry type colours, or not so much the colours, but the what symbol to go for. Thought about maybe something instead of a lion rampant or a griffin rampant, then how about a T-Rex or a raptor or something like that. Figuring such creatures would be of myth and legend in this world. Thought about having a man as well, as figuring if dinosaurs and dragons and things are the stuff of our legends, maybe mankind is the stuff of theirs. The current favourites would be a city or a keep or a castle or something, or a flower. But I'm open to suggestions. And oops. Guess you forgot to thread the bottom one first. Pardon me. Here's the bottom. One. Just a little bit above. Two. A little dab just below the bend. Really just above the bend. Sorry, keep doing that with the camera. Just scraping off the edge of the glue before it hardens. Over the top. Over the top. Just eyeballing the top one. It's the next one that's important. Let's try that. So now I need to trim off all of these horizontal pieces and get cracking. There's what, 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so there's all the vertical pieces. So I wonder. That's a lot easier, isn't it? And I'm thinking I'm just going to eyeball all of these. So Again, just scraping off the excess. And let's put that away. That away. Turn everything around. Got off that bit. Enough bit. Yeah. Everybody's got their little tabs. And I figure in the next video we'll go back and stick these on. Which will be what? 2B. Which is actually probably part of this video. Because looking at the clock, this one's running about 2 hours so far. I think there's about another hour of work. That's all the fiddly bits really done. So we'll get the rest done. Stick all the pieces together and then find a sensible place to chop it in half, and that'll be the 2 videos for this week. And possibly at the end of that video I'll look at whether or not I do need to fill, and looking at it I don't. That was rather clever of him. When they were sculpting this guy's got some sort of barding or like a saddle blanket, and there is a groove that runs across that line and one just underneath this rope piece that you can't really see. And if you flip over, those lines are matched where the leg pieces came in. So there is a crease there, but you can see one on that side, so it'll just be painted a different colour. In which case, I don't think I have any filling to do on any of these. We'll take a quick look underneath, and yeah, that little blob of super glue gel has filled the hole. I don't think we need to fill any of those. So yeah, in the next episode we'll get the flag parts of the banners on, which should just be a case of cutting long strips, sticking a piece on, folding it over, and voila. And that will be the converting the flag video. As I've got these little pieces of paper around, I think actually I'm going to cover the holes on these two, because I didn't do it on this one. So just as we're here, probably half the width on those. Let's see how we get on with those. Different super glue again. Actually, that pen one I thought was liquid, not gel, but I'm fairly certain it was gel. Yeah, not very big pieces needed. That's most definitely liquid. Job done. See you in the next bit. Bye. Okay, so it's been a couple of days since I did this piece with sticking on all these little tabs on the flags and the sockets. The glue that I was using, the gel super glue, has filled in all these gaps, so I'm fairly certain I won't need to do any putty work on those. Just noticed that some of the flagpole ends are a little on the sharp side or jagged side, so I'm just going to have a quick clean up on those, and then we'll get the flags on, which should be pretty straightforward. I'm not looking to reshape these or carve them or anything, I just don't want them have any sharp edges, which is probably going to be a lot easier to do when there's no flag. So here's one. Still got to be careful not to take off the edge. Slice through that. It is, at the end of the day, it's still paper. So and the last guy. Yeah, I did a bit of measuring off camera and have settled on, and some people out there are going to hate this because I'm going to mix measurements, but I'm going with 20mm high banner and a 12.5mm wide banner, or to put it more precisely, a 20mm high banner and a 1/2 inch wide banner. And the reason for that is simple. This ruler is 20mm wide and this ruler is 1 inch wide. Combine the two and that's what we have. Right, where is the scrap of paper that I used? This is the piece that I cut out to make all the tabs. And all I'm going to do is make sure I get a completely parallel cut. Is cut down one side and then cut down the other. Probably going to need that again. Shouldn't have scrunched it up. Anyway, so that's 1/2 inch wide, or that's 1 inch wide. So when I fold it that way, it's going to be 1 inch. Consequently, I now need this part to be 20mm. I didn't check, is that square? It's not quite. Right. I don't actually have a set square to hand. Fortunately, this knife is inches on one side, or this ruler is inches on one side and centimetres on the other. and they're both parallel from the same end. So if I line it up on, in this case, 3 and 3, that'll be parallel. Four down, 5 to go. Six. Might not need that other piece of paper after all. 7. 8. 9. And I guess you're not quite wide enough. No. So we go. There's the 9. Theoretically, that's all the cutting I'm going to need to do. So these are to go there, and I just need to fold them all in half. So it's a bit mucky on that side. So if I fold these corner to corner, and then flan the back out, that should be folded in half. That's when you find out just how square your cuts are. Because if the top corner matches and the bottom one doesn't, it's not square. You may have noticed something's different in this video to the first couple. Actually, I'll rephrase that. You may have noticed something in the next video that's different than this one. I have found a source of music that I actually enjoy listening to, that I have permission to use on YouTube. So the next episodes onwards will have some music. Huzzah! That one wasn't quite there when I pressed it. Six down, 3 to go. So, current thinking on the heraldry, or on the painting. Current thinking is that for Banu themselves, the humanoid creatures, I'm going to do with a pale blue, pale grey sort of skin. With darker blue heraldry. Actually, scrap that. I'm not sure, because it just dawned on me that the guys that these ones are based on, the Knights of Anyaral, have blue armour. So I can't do a blue armour, so I've got to find something that goes with that. Still not sure. Still waiting for ideas, so yeah, if you've got any in the suggestion box. Right, what do we have here? Just a scrap of plastic, but it's got a slight lip on it. And this is PVA glue, specifically weatherproof. Don't care which company, but you want the weatherproof or waterproof. And the reason for that is if you use regular PVA, it'll be absolutely fine right up until the point where you start applying glues and paints and water-based paints and washes, and then it'll start to come apart and it just gets very messy. So if you use the waterproof one, once it's on and it's gone off, it's fine. It's completely waterproof and you can submerge what you like on it. So when I do my modelling, I don't ever use non-waterproof glue. Right. There's the scrap of paper I was using before, and it is quite literally a scrap. And I just want it so I don't get it all over my table. But I'm going to cover half. This is, as you saw, just PVA that I've watered down a bit. And I'm just going to coat half of the inside of one of these flaps with glue. And then I'm going to take the model and line it up so that the top half sticks on each of those flaps, or lines up with the top flap, and the other one sticks to the back. Take the same stuff and coat the little flaps, because that's the only non-adhesive-y bit, and then just fold it back along the line that I have already made. And fold it flat. I have a flag. Now, whilst the glue is still setting, I want to make sure I've pinched it all so that all the hard edges meet, but I want to put a couple of folds in it so that when it sets, it will be nice and hard in that folded position. It just gives a bit of depth to it. So you can see there's not much of a fold there, but just enough. So where it's in the frame, it's nice and rigid, which it would be, and then the loose bit, it's got a bit of a flap. That's it. That's all I'm going to do with these flags. So yeah, again, a bit of glue on the exposed tabs, because they're exposed. And then fold it over. Minor adjustments just to make sure it's all straight, and by straight I mean the gaps are parallel. And another minor crease. Job done. And repeat. And that's all I'm going to be doing for the next 10-15 minutes. trying to keep it so that the creases are a bit more curved rather than creases. I don't want hard lines. Which, as I'm using a water-based glue, is a good thing because it'll soak into the paper somewhat and make it go a little more soft, a little more pliable. I have a feeling I forgot to put it on the tabs on that last one. This is just an old paintbrush that I'm using. It's a really old Citadel one, but it's any old paintbrush that I don't mind getting mucky, and I use it for applying glue for basing and all sorts. Yeah, there's a unit. There's the captain. Let's bring our heavy cavalry in. Oh, actually, it was the one that I think I missed. I just do that. The glue will soak in. It'll also make it slightly tougher. Yeah, it'll soak into the paper, and when it goes off, it'll be even more solid. Sorry, not doing it in front of the camera, doing it in front of my eyes. Ding, ding, ding. those. Next. Just a few to go. Get it out. Yeah, you have to make sure when you squeeze it, you get nice, neat edges. brush on the outside. Not a lot to talk about in this one. Good job, we'll have the music soon. A bit more glue, and then we'll finish up the Lord, and yeah, that'll be these done. Obviously going to be a bit more complicated as there's two, so it's fiddly rather than complicated, but just check these are about the same size. As near as makes no difference. Quick blobs in there. So make sure this one is parallel with the pole. Yeah, it should be about there. Right, that's it. Just a tiny bit before I put any folds in it. And this one, of course, I'm going to have to do back to front. And I've got to try and get the spacing about the same as on the other side, which that is not. We've got the inside tabs. It's actually quite hard to see whether this is parallel or not. You can see both poles and both edges. That one is fairly even. That one is not. It's come out slightly at the top. And that's about it. Yeah, tiny crease. I'm thinking these probably want to be parallel creases, as near as possible anyway. Or at least in the folding in the same direction, if not parallel. Let's get over here with my watered PVA and just paint. As the watered PVA soaks in, the paper becomes a lot more pliable. So you just have to balance between how pliable you want the paper and how easy it's going to be to tear, and how mucky you want your fingers to get. And I don't like mucky fingers. And there you go. That's just water, because all the time that stuff hasn't set, it is water soluble. So right up to the point where it does set, and then you won't shift it. But there we go. One lord, one knightly captain, 2 heavy cavalry, militia captain, regular cavalry, and their captain. 9 banners. Job done. And there you go. The only thing I will do between now and the next video will be undercoating these, which I'm just going to do with... Actually, I don't know what I'm going to do it with. It depends on what colours I settle on, which I would guess I've got about a week to decide. Most of the time I use grey primer. If you're in the UK, I use Halford's primer, but it's an automotive car bodywork primer, and grey works for 90% of the painting that I do. If I'm going for a much darker scheme, then I'll use black, in which case Halfords don't sell a black primer, so I will probably use Army Painter. And if I'm going for a really bright colour, then I will use white Halford's primer. The only problem with priming with automotive primers is they're not great at detail work, so you have to be a bit gentler, lighter coats. Whereas with the army painter primers, you can spray it on so thick it just looks like a blob, and then as it dries it shrinks into the detail and all the detail comes up. But I wouldn't advise you do it that way, but it's more forgiving is basically what I'm saying. But yeah, so that's our force fully assembled. Some of the rocks put on for the bases, these banners put on for these guys. So yeah, the next one will be painting. I'm just not sure what colour I will be painting them. So if you want to find out, you'll have to tune in for the next episode with added music. If you found this one useful and or helpful and or entertaining, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Wind back. If you found it useful and helpful, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this sort of thing, give me a thumbs up. In the world of Twilight or other systems, I have a second project in my head. I've already got the Kingdom Death series, Kingdom Death Monster series, which every 2 or 3 videos has got an assembly and or painting one. Yeah, if you don't want to miss any of that sort of stuff and what I do in the future, as well as playing video games and things, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, which is the little hamster down here. If you're on a PC or if you're on a phone or a tablet, then just hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter. The details, things are all down there. I'm pretty sure it's at Supa_Hamsta with my usual bad spelling. And you can find me on Facebook if you're that interested, but Twitter is the place to go for notifications on videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Super Hamster out. Bye bye.